Good morning, everyone. My name is Anthony. I'm a medical student at the Indiana University School of Medicine. Hello, Dr. Pfeffer.
Good morning.
Welcome to the AAEM RSA 2025 Midwest Medical Student Symposium. We have a full schedule of speakers, panelists, and residency program leadership members, leaders in the field of emergency medicine who are here to share their expertise with all of us. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Katie Wazinski, who is the current RSA president, who will be giving a talk on AAEM membership and its benefits and opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. It is so awesome to see all of you here bright and early, regardless of where your time zone is. I know I am bright and late into, I just finished a night shift, so I apologize if I don't make sense in my sentences sometimes. But let me share my screen and we can get started. Let me make this a presentation.
And while she's setting that up, I do want to mention if anyone has any questions, please include them in the Q&A function here on the Zoom webinar. And if we have time, I'll keep monitoring that Zoom webinar and I'll pose those questions to Katie at the end based on what time allows.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely throw your questions in the chat. I might not be able to see them, or you can just unmute yourself. I am not shy and I don't bite. So, welcome. I'm going to give a brief overview of who we are as AAM RSA. Some of you may or may not be members of RSA, and I hope to convince you to become members, not only because we have some pretty cool benefits, but just because it's really cool to be a part of a national organization as a medical student, especially if you want to be involved at your state or national level, and especially if you're interested in advocating for the future of emergency medicine, which I hope you all are. So we can't talk about AAM RSA without a brief overview of what the history of emergency medicine looks like. I know that you are joining in potentially the years between 2025, 26, 27, potentially even later if you're M1s or M2s, which is so exciting if you are here that early on in your career. But emergency medicine only became known as a specialty, a recognized specialty, in 1970s. Okay. So before that, we had family med doctors, internal med doctors, really anyone who wanted to work in the emergency department, surgeons, kind of your classic Grey's Anatomy, all different specialties working in the emergency department. And then the first EM residencies came about in 1979 specifically. The first ABEM board exam, which I'm sure if you are aware of our own board specialty, we have ABEM and ABOEM, but most people take the ABEM board exam, and that was created in 1980. So really not that long ago. So I know that as we're talking about kind of changes to our specialty, just know that we are really brand new in terms of the house of medicine. Many other specialties have been around since the early 1900s. In the 1990s, there were a handful of lawsuits for people that were practicing emergency medicine, but who did not specifically train in emergency medicine. And that got a lot of controversy in the field, especially from these new attendings who were trained specifically in emergency medicine. And then lots of lawsuits kind of started to occur because of that. And people did not want to mandate EM as a specialty. But fast forward many years later, lawsuits continued, especially in terms of the unfair business practice and physician exploitation. And I think a lot of those lawsuits actually are continuing in some form or fashion, especially in a lot of states and even at the national level, really against the unfair business practice of emergency medicine specifically. And we're seeing nationally a lot of unfair practice in the house of medicine overall. But that is kind of the context of which AAEM and AAM RSA started. So AAM as a larger organization started in 1993, about 8,000 members, and half of those being residents and students. So this was founded in the time frame where a lot of these lawsuits were starting, especially against emergency medicine physicians. Okay. And this book specifically is one of the founding members, although the title is a little bit controversial, really detail the corruption and exploitation of emergency physicians, which ultimately negative impacted patient care. And really many leaders of emergency emergency medicine at that time were siphoning profits through unfair business practice tactics and really hiring unqualified physicians who are willing to work for less pay and really devaluing emergency physicians overall. So that was the context of which AAEM was founded in the history of emergency medicine. So specifically, the resident and medical student section was actually founded a little bit later. It was a section in 1999, and then it became its own organization and its own entity in 2005. So although we are in the sphere of the overall broader AAEM, we are our own independent organization and we can make our own decisions. And we have really a lot of collaboration with AAEM at large, but ultimately we make our own decisions and advocate for our residents and students in the best way possible. When you become an AAEM RSA member, you also become an AAEM member, and the cost is decently low for both medical students and residents, and you could take advantage of all of those opportunities to get involved with AAEM as well. So here, just briefly, it's really important for us that we talk about our mission, vision, and values at really every board meeting. So I'm not going to read off of these slides, but essentially we are the advocacy association for medical students and residents, both advocating for those people, but also for ultimately the best patient care possible and really elevating our future leaders. Here are a few of the values that we like to expose through RSA and through our members, and here's our mission statement. So now let's get into the bulk of the exciting things that y'all are probably interested in. So what kind of benefits come with an AAEM RSA membership? So we have a ton of member benefits. Okay. I would say my favorite one is that we get MRAP included. I'm sure some of y'all may be also EMRA members, which is awesome. I myself am also an EMRA member and an ACEP member, but comparatively price-wise, you can become an RSA member for a lot less and get that MRAP benefit. So for those of you who don't know, MRAP is an educational platform. It has a whole lot of things. It has an online library, including Corpendium. It has podcasts that debut every week and so much content that I am constantly learning from as well, and that's being pushed out. One of my attendings actually writes for MRAP, and it's super awesome. Lots of other free benefits, and then you can see lots of discounts. EKG Weekly is one of Dr. Matu's babies. He sends out an EKG, and then a few days later we'll give you the interpretation of that and a video interpretation, an ITE exam review, lots of board prep material. So many benefits in terms of if you're looking for content, podcasts out the wazoo. We have a whole lot of our own podcasts, from AEM podcast to RSA podcast. A lot of that is also just free content that you can look even if you are not a member. We also have our own journals, the Journal of Emergency Medicine we partner with, and then the Western Journal of Emergency Medicine as well, and Common Sense. And I would make a plug that these are all really wonderful opportunities for, if you are a medical student, to potentially get a publication out there. You can publish, it's pretty easy to publish in our magazine, and even we have medical students who publish in our journals as well. So if you're interested, I'll kind of talk about our publications work group in a little bit too, but definitely always ways to get involved, not only learning educational content, but also contributing it too. Here are some of our latest and greatest guides. That a few of these are both digital form, but a lot of these are paper form. So we have our EM bedside ultrasound guide, and this is kind of a brief overview that is very helpful for both medical students and interns. We have a brand new ED Scut Sheet notepad. So if you've ever used one of those notebooks for internal medicine when you're rounding in the hospital that has kind of all of these layouts of things that you have to ask the patient and think about in your presentation. So we made one just for emergency medicine students and even interns who really need to kind of keep your notes and organize your notes as you're beginning to learn how to be an ER doctor. So it's really great for doing those sub-Is. And then on the right is another picture of that scut pad. On the left is probably my favorite one. We debuted this at Scientific Assembly. It is a critical care pocket guide. We spent almost the entire year creating this to perfection. It is so high yield. It's probably 40 pages, and it is the most ideal, up-to-date things that you need to know, especially as an intern in the medical ICU or even a medical student. It even applies to all of your critical care patients in the emergency department as well. So highly recommend you purchase this, and even purchase it for a group of your friends, maybe who aren't even going into emergency medicine, but just doing a critical care rotation. Here is a little bit of our CME. So we have a CME platform, including all of past scientific assemblies and a whole lot of other content. And we are constantly creating new content under this platform as well. A few of our events. So number one, you're here. So you should know that we have symposia in all different regions, okay? And we are trying to figure out what the best way to do this is. A hybrid, maybe some in person, maybe some virtual only. So today you are here, but we also have Southeast, Northeast, West, and we have actually a brand new symposia that's going to be more targeted towards international students as well. So this is the next one coming up. It is October 18th, and this is a hybrid. So if anyone is interested or in the area, it's being hosted in person by Ochsner Health in Jefferson, Louisiana, which is super awesome. Ochsner has been very collaborative with RSA, and we appreciate all of their help with different events. So definitely recommend you check that out and register if you're interested. And then this is another one of our events that we are hosting with Cal AAEM. It's not specifically just for California people, it's for anyone, medical students or residents, talking about financial implications, what this recent legislation and legislative efforts mean in the context of being a medical student, either taking out loans or repayment for residents. It has some really awesome people. So definitely recommend you register for that. It's coming up in October. Some other events and courses. We have a critical care course that runs from January up until scientific assembly, and it has all of these topics covered. So similarly to what the guide covers, but way more in depth. Okay. And that you will be able to sign up for in a few months. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, have to mention Scientific Assembly. So these are the dates for 2026. It is in Seattle. And do want to put a plug in if you have any sort of content, posters, anything like that. Our deadline is just here in a few days. So go to the website, AAEM, and you can submit poster presentations, abstracts, etc., things to be submitted. And that deadline is coming up here. Even if you're a medical student, I published as a medical student a few different posters at Scientific Assembly. We are always looking for new voices, especially medical students, to get their work out there during Scientific Assembly. We also have a specific medical student track and resident track. The medical student track is usually the weekend before the actual Scientific Assembly. So I think it's like April 10th and April 11th. And that specifically, you will be able to network with residents, with programs. It's similar to this, but on a much larger scale. And you're in person, which is really fun. You have lots of different workshops and skills clinics that you can go to. And we usually have some events around health policy as well. And this, we have a specific advocacy day on the Hill every year where we go and advocate to our own legislators, senators, etc. So these pictures, I believe they were from New Orleans, well, New Orleans and then Capitol Hill a few years back. And we usually have a pretty great turnout of attendings and even some residents and medical students. And going off of this topic of advocating, one new development in terms of our organization is we now have AMA delegates, which, if you don't know, the American Medical Association is really the overall kind of guiding force and voice in the House of Medicine. And so previously, the main voices in emergency medicine were ASAP and EMRA, but now AAEM and RSA both have seats and councils and alternative counselors, if I'm getting that terminology correctly. We now have our own voices that are representing emergency medicine. So we are a big player in terms of advocacy and in terms of helping to form and hopefully influence some of the legislation that exists out there in terms of healthcare. So now what else can you get involved in? So we have our board of directors. Like I said, I'm the president for this year. Those positions, usually applications open around November, December. If you are a medical student, you can run for our medical student council. We have chairs, regional reps, and international rep, similar process around December. And then we have elections to vote for those folks. Cabinet of delegates. Each residency and medical school has a specified cabinet member. We just had our first meeting the other night. If you are unsure if your school or program has a cabinet member, just reach out to us and we will let you know. And if not, then great, you can be that person. Oh, we also have section representatives, so you can be representing to a section at AAEM overall, and you can be the voice of RSA. So really, in case you haven't gotten from this presentation, there are so many ways that you can be involved, and we are always looking for your ideas, whether it's a project or a work group that you would like to be involved in. We are all ears. And medical student ambassadors, these are specifically at Scientific Assembly. You can apply to be an ambassador. You have a little bit of a reimbursement to actually go to the assembly, and you help out all throughout. This is how I first became involved in AAEM RSA. It was such an awesome group. I still stay in touch with my fellow ambassadors, and it really led me into the whole world of RSA and through a leadership pipeline. So highly recommend you look into this. Here are all of our social media pages. You can stay up to date, and you can always message any of these, although who really uses Twitter or X anymore? I should take that off. But for sure, Instagram. And I think that's all I have. I will also throw in the chat if anyone is interested in one, becoming an RSA member and is having issues with anything, or two, wants to get involved with a project or a work group and doesn't know exactly how to go about that. I will put in the chat our administrator, who is the most wonderful person and coordinates all of the medical students and residents and is our voice within AAEM RSA within the organizational admin side. So feel free, and I will also put my contact information in the chat as well. So feel free to reach out. I would love to hear from y'all. I know I am not personally in the Midwest. I am from Texas, but we love our Midwestern colleagues. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. And I'm happy to take some questions, or we have a few minutes before the next speaker.
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat or Q&A. If anyone has any questions, you can put it in the Q&A or in the chat, or you can raise your hand. I can give you talking privileges and you can speak and ask your questions out loud.
It is a little nerve-wracking that this is being recorded for who knows how many people and the internet of all time to go back and rewatch. But thank you all for being here live. It's much better live, a little bit more engaging. Oh, I see one that says, how do we become a medical student ambassador? So there will be an application process. There is already a lot of information that has come out about Scientific Assembly, but that application process comes out in the spring usually. So our Scientific Assembly is in, I just blanked, Seattle in April. And so usually around January or February that comes out. So you have enough time to figure out that you have been selected and that you can coordinate to go to the conference and get that time off from your medical school. I know it can be a real hassle to get days off from your medical school. So we provide a letter saying, we want you to come, and here are the days off and here are the conference times. So yeah, we try to make it as easy as possible. Ooh, what experiences in medical school made you realize EM was for you, and how can we seek out such experiences? That's a really great question. I knew that I loved emergency medicine. I actually worked as an EMT prior to medical school for a year. I had some experiences just kind of peripherally in the emergency department before medical school. And then I shadowed actually in the emergency department as a first and second year. We had one of our local community emergency departments close to where my medical school was very friendly to medical students. They actually hosted some residents too to do some rotations. And so our EMIG, our emergency medicine interest group, set that up. But even if you don't have something specific that your interest group or someone that works in the emergency department, I would just reach out to folks in the emergency department if you're interested in shadowing. I would say most people would love to have you come for a shift or two so you can see what the real world experience of the ER is like. I think now it's fun because we have shows like The Pit that exist and show so genuinely what it's like to work in the ER. It's so funny. I started watching that show like, right as it came out, and I could only watch the first episode or two because I felt like I was at work. It was exhausting. I was like, I cannot do this on my time off. But then I obviously had to watch the rest of it. But that is really, truly, genuinely what it feels like to work in a lot of emergency departments across the country. So I think we live in a really cool time that exists, but there are also so many real life experiences that you can hopefully obtain. Definitely getting involved in groups like RSA, we have so many opportunities to network and connect with people and talk about the experience. And then certainly getting involved locally in your interest groups and shadowing definitely never hurts to figure out if you want to do emergency medicine earlier on in your medical school experience. All right. Well, I will give my 4 minutes back to the rest of the crew. And if you want to start a few minutes early, but thank you all so much. And I hope you have such an awesome day. This is such a great lineup, seeing the schedule. I'm like, these are such impressive people that you have coming to talk to the symposium. So if you are here, you're a participant, just enjoy taking all the knowledge. And for all the fourth years, good luck with your applications and residency casts, and good luck with the rest of the season. Okay. You picked the best specialty.
Thank you so much, Katie. I hope you have a great rest after your night shift.
Incredible presentation, Katie. Thank you for that.
All right, so we can start the next presentation, our first keynote presentation. It's my honor to introduce to you all Dr. Andrew Pfeffer, the program director at the University of Kansas EM program. And he is here to talk to you all about what makes a great resident physician. And
That
again,
is
if you have any
Thank you
questions,
so
oh, sorry, I apologize, Dr. Pfeffer. If you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A and we can cover it at the end, or you can raise your hand, we can unmute you and you can ask live.
Yeah. Anthony, thank you so much. And Katie, once again, that was a really incredible presentation. And thank you to AAM for everything that you all do. I just want to echo kind of what Katie said. Your time is really valuable. And I know you all are pulled in a billion different directions, but there are very few things that are as important as an investment as it is with a group like AAM for yourself now as a medical student, as a resident, and then throughout your entire career. AAM is truly an advocate for us as a specialty, and kind of looking back on it now with a couple more years under my belt, I really can appreciate it from a whole lot of different perspectives. So please, thank you for being here, but give your time, give your efforts to an organization that really is moving the needle. And with that, good morning. It's a real pleasure to meet you all and be here. Again, my name is Andrew Pfeffer, but please call me Pfeff. I'm the program director here at the University of Kansas, Rock Chalk. It's an honor to be here. And I'd like to also extend a thanks to you all for your interest in EM. I know I'm biased, but I'm truly here to tell you it's never been a better time to be in emergency medicine. This specialty is some of the most joyful, rewarding, life-affirming work you can do. And you really get to do it alongside some of the most amazing people. So I'm excited to chat with you today. I changed the lecture a little bit, kind of last minute. I'm going to be chatting with you about how to become the best EM physician that you can be. So a couple spoiler alerts. Spoiler alert number one, I'm not perfect. Neither are you, neither is anybody in this virtual space, and neither is anyone we admire in EM. And that's okay. This talk is not about being perfect or the best. It's about striving for your best. And with that, it's also not all encompassing, because that's impossible in 30 minutes. And honestly, it might just be impossible, period. But these are some of the most important things that I've learned and seen in my career and gathered from friends and colleagues. And I hope some of this can be helpful to you. And just to kind of echo what Thomas said, please don't hesitate to ask questions and chime in. I know it's hard on Zoom, but I really want this to be as interactive as possible. And so this talk is going to be based upon kind of 5 principles, not rules. Why? I feel like rules are static. They break when life throws you curveballs, whereas principles, they evolve, they grow with you, they're flexible. And flexibility is something you'll need every day in EM. So today I'm going to give you 5, and that's in honor of my former chair, Dr. Corey Slovis, who I owe so much to. And it's humility, curiosity, compassion, empowerment, and sustainability and happiness. And so I want to start with humility because nothing else works without it. So C.S. Lewis once said, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. So what does that mean in EM? Honestly, it means a lot. And it can be boiled down into 2 magic phrases. I don't know, and I need help. If you remember nothing else from today, please just remember these. And if you can say these two things with honesty and confidence, you're going to be just fine. You know, when you carry the burden of perfection, the need to be right, to look smart, to never miss, you're really carrying fear, shame, and guilt before anything even happens. It's heavy. It's like intellectual handcuffs, and it can really get in the way of patient-centered care. Humility, it takes that weight off and it frees you. You know, I'll never forget when I was an intern. I remember watching one of my most senior attendings run a resuscitation on a patient who was not just circling the drain, but they were diving straight into it. It was one of the sickest patients I've still ever seen. There was no collateral history, totally undifferentiated, in all ways classic EM. And we were doing everything we could for this patient, but nothing seemed to be working. And so this attending, who is truly a thought leader in EM, someone who knew everything in my mind, and a total icon, they just stood at the end of the bed and calmly said, I don't know what's going on or what to do next, and I need some help. I had never seen that. And honestly, I didn't know you could say that. So what happened? The team rallied. Everyone in the room spoke up, offered suggestions. We loaded the boat, as my old chair would say, and we brought in other attendings and some consultants just to get some fresh perspectives. And eventually, we unlocked the case. You know what didn't happen? Ridicule or judgment. You know, humility in that moment protected us and that patient from anchoring, from ego, from bias, and it helped us do the right thing. Humility also protects us from a bunch of other stuff, including idolizing the wrong things, like speed. Look, speed will come, but speed is not always the goal. Being thoughtful is. Sprint only when you must, which honestly, even in EM, isn't as often as you think, nor is it that much faster than what you're already doing. Most of the time, you can slow down, take a few seconds or a few minutes, and do the right things. Then you can start refining it, you can make it more efficient, and then you can increase your speed, but not by cutting corners. Finally, humility always reminds you to go back to the basics. I know when you're running a code, running a resuscitation, or with a really sick and complex patient, this urge to be thinking 15 steps down the road, to have a differential a mile long. I mean, you're processing at that moment what type of zebra this case is. You're thinking of the airway and how you want to do a delayed sequence, bimodal intubation, and you got your cry kick ready. That's great. But don't forget, the sickest patients often just need the simplest interventions first. ABCs, open the airway, oxygenate, ventilate, quality compressions. It's really not about looking impressive and trying to show all the things you know. It's about doing what works and doing the most important things first. Our second principle is curiosity. It's bad for cats, good for you. But that being said, does anybody know that? I hope you all know the full proverb, which is curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. And I will tell you this, my cat, curious as heck and is totally thriving. So the key to this is just to basically ask questions always, anytime, about anything, on shift, in didactics. Ask everyone, never hold back. Things like just as simple as, tell me more about that. Can you explain why you did that? Can you teach me a little more? If you're thinking it and it will help you take better care of patients, ask it. And not like this should matter fully, but I will almost certainly guarantee you that someone else wants to ask it as well, but you don't need a cohort to make your question important. But of course, in asking others, you got to ask yourself too. How do you learn best? Is it textbooks? Is it podcasts? Is it simulation? What combination of those things are really going to help things stick for you? This is really critical because when you come into EM, you have to be a lifelong learner. Because I will promise, learning never stops, and it often needs to take place outside of your shifts and outside of conference. So how are you going to learn and maintain your competency, including for halo events, which are high acuity, low occurrence? Things like crikes, neonatal resuscitation, shoulder dystocia. What's your frequency of needing to rehearse these, and what does that look like? Also, ask yourself, what scares you? What worries you? Why might you be avoiding a certain type of complaint, procedure? When something comes in that you haven't seen, or a chief complaint that makes you nervous or stressed, or looking for a different patient to sign up for, stop yourself and go towards it. We always say trust your gut. And in this sense, I'm saying recognize that fear, that unease, and see it as a signal. And then don't run from it, lean into it. Curiosity, it also extends to the bedside too. Be curious for your patients, especially in moments where things are ambiguous and you're uncertain of the next steps. In so many of those scenarios, just a few more questions, re-asked maybe in slightly different ways, can often unveil the real story and give you the piece of info that you need to help your patient. The other thing is find the wheels. So the wheel, to me, pretty darn good. You can refine it a lot, make it yours, maybe add some rims, but you don't have to always make a radical change for no reason. So be curious and find these wheels in EM because they are the stuff that stands the test of time, not because it's old habits dying hard, but because of quality. So for me, one of the first wheels I kind of noticed was how we ran level 1 traumas at my residency. So I distinctly remember when I was an intern holding the code pager in the MICU. And you go to all the rapid responses around the hospital. I remember going to so many of them and thinking to myself, wow, these are dumpster fires. And so for many of you who have never had the pleasure of being present for a dumpster fire, it's not a good thing. And so I was curious as to why and how this could be done a whole bunch better. And so I asked myself, it's like, well, where have you seen this done better consistently? And then so for me, that was our level one traumas, the systematic and organized approach from the very beginning pre-brief when you had time, or if the patient came in without any notice, which can kind of happen a lot in emergency medicine. It focused on the basics, immediately established priorities and a flow to the room for everyone from the team leader on down. Primary survey, ABCDs, how to intervene on each one of those, vitals and IV access, get your report, fast exam and plain films, secondary survey, top to bottom. And then it answered all of even the smaller details that I found myself tripping over and I saw as hiccups for so many. And these included the things of like who stands where and why, the cadence and the script of how to announce things, logistics, everyone's roles, even noise control. It felt controlled, it was quick but thorough, and it was reproducible. And so I said to myself, I was like, self, don't reinvent the wheel. Just do that every time, but make those modifications as needed, when it's non-trauma and depending on other factors. And to be honest, that's what I do. And it's really empowering and it takes a huge cognitive load off. It frees up decision-making for so many other things. That also flows into just kind of cognitive aids on shift for yours and others. As Katie kind of talked about, there's so many great little pocketbooks and things like that through AAM, through MRAP, things like PDSAT, EMRA guides like the antibiotic guide, which I probably look at 15 times on a shift, and other apps that often, offload those little bits of a burden here or there. But of course, create your own as well. When you develop a certain system or algorithm that does work for you, that works, and you're like, this builds confidence, just save it, have it at your fingertips. So you don't have to constantly reinvent the wheel each and every moment on shift. That just, again, it frees up so much of your mental capacity for curiosity, for decision-making, for everything in between. Because I promise you, decision fatigue is real. And you need to preserve that on your shift, especially towards the end. So a couple other principles. So compassion for your patients, compassion for your colleagues, and compassion for yourself. Start with kindness always. And kindness, I promise you, is contagious. It's one of the few contagious things we actually want in EM. So remember that, for your patients, being in the ED, it's not fun. It's often the worst day of their life and is extremely disorienting and often dehumanizing. So it might be hard to provide the most linear, concise, and consistent history right off the bat. It's one of the reasons why you might go in and take a history, and then your resident goes in and takes a history, and then the attending takes a history, and all three of those are radically different. I promise it's not you taking a bad history. It is hard to be a patient. Recognize that, understand that, and just have compassion for it. The other thing is, compassion is also giving every patient real consideration every time. I know that sounds a little reductive and obvious, but we all have biases. We all make judgments. And when we bring those to bedside, that is typically not good for your patients and not good for you. Remember, the patient gets the benefit of the doubt, or as my former program director, Dr. Keith Wren, used to say, when in doubt, always err on the side of the patient. You need to remind yourself each and every time of that. Because I promise, I can tell you personally, if I've ever deviated from that, that outcome was oftentimes not good. And I can trace it back to that moment as one of the keys to it. Compassion, though, also extends to protecting yourself. This work is heavy and it does take a toll. Compassion fatigue, burnout, those are very real. And so here's the truth. You're going to be wrong sometimes. A procedure will not go as planned. An evaluation is going to sting and just hurt you down to your core. You're going to lose sleep. You'll have rough shifts, and you're going to have times that you feel like an imposter. Don't carry that alone. Every single one of us has been there. So you have to lean on your people. That's why we're here, to support each other in those moments when you don't feel like you have the answers or you don't know what to do next. So, it's always tough to discuss, but this past Wednesday, we also just recognized National Physician Suicide Awareness Day, and it exists for a reason. Again, the stress, the depression, the anxiety are real. And too many of our colleagues, some very close to me, have struggled in silence, sometimes with devastating consequences. That's why we need to break down barriers, fight the stigma, and normalize these conversations. So please check in with yourself, check in with each other, be the shoulder someone needs to cry on, and then return the favor and cry on their shoulder, because sometimes we just need a good cry, and that's okay. Please be compassionate to yourself as you go through this, and just know it's going to be okay. Principle 4, empowerment. So this kind of comes in 3 parts. You might notice kind of similar to the slide before. So it's empowerment for your patients, it's empowerment for your colleagues, and it's empowerment for yourself. So regarding empowerment for your patients, please respect them, involve them in their care. One of the best things you can do is just kind of pull back that curtain on our thoughts and our world of medicine, especially when you're uncertain and everything just seems ambiguous. This is truly what shared decision-making is all about. And it's not a weakness, it's a true partnership. It shows you care, and in many cases, I would easily argue it is the most valuable use of your time, and will help you and your patient figure out what is truly best and most right for them, which in almost all the cases is truly the goal. And remember, patients don't always remember how brilliant you are and again, how long your differential was, but they'll remember if you listened, they'll remember if you explained things, and they'll remember if you treated them like a human being. Never, ever, ever forget that. The other, empower your colleagues. So this is absolutely huge. Recognize the expertise of literally everyone on your team. So your amazing nurses, your techs, your medics, your pharmacists, your social worker. Flatten that hierarchy, but you cannot assume that people feel invited to speak up. You have to explicitly invite. Unfortunately, again, that hierarchy has been for too long, too rigid, and too kind of stagnant. And once as a medical student, but especially as a resident, as attending, people can be very fearful of trying to break that down. So you need to be the one to actively do it. And I promise you, that is going to change the game in so many situations for you and your patients. You want to know why? Because we don't know everything and we don't see everything. And we're not experts in everything that our amazing nurses and pharmacists and everybody else and a respiratory therapist know. So they might see things, and they will see things that are going to be helpful for you and your patients. And you don't want folks to hesitate to speak up when that's happening, or if they notice that you might be going down the wrong path or might be doing the wrong thing. You want it to be second nature. You want to establish that relationship, which again is not assumed, and you need to be active in doing so. The other thing is you got to empower yourself. Be honest about what you need to improve. Whether it's ultrasound, procedures, communication, whatever it is, name it, embrace it, and work on it. And I promise you this, you can learn anything, but the how and the timeline, that's what's going to be unique to you. And that's okay, because this journey is your journey and no one else's. Don't compare yourself to your co-residents as a gauge of your abilities. This is, and again, this is kind of breaking from so much of what we've been taught and kind of bad habit, myself, my own included, but this is no longer a competition or setting the curve on a test. Again, that's kind of the mentality we all had going from high school to undergrad to med school. And so it's I know it's very hard to kind of sit up here and say, okay, now completely break from that and stop it, but I'm asking you to do so. This is something where you can look at it and say, we're no longer in a zero-sum game, and when we all do better, we all do better. So I remember when I was a co-intern, many of my colleagues just seemed like superheroes, especially one of my dearest friends who, and in terms of ultrasound, they picked up a probe and they basically mind melded with the machine and became one with the ultrasound. Me, not so much. I was really awesome at rib shadows, as my ultrasound director used to tell me quite frequently. But it turns out, as I learned and was humbled in many ways in medicine, I'm kind of clumsy at things at first, and I'm not naturally gifted with tasks involving spatial orientation. So this initially felt quite embarrassing, and I just wanted to completely avoid ultrasound. But I learned it's okay. I just needed to take a little more time. I needed to break it down into the most minute of details and steps. And eventually it would click. And it really did. Now, look, I'm not great. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be an ultrasound fellow. I'm not going to be a leader in that field by any stretch, but I'm confident in what I can do. And I know how I can keep getting better moving forward. And again, I owe so much of that to my co-resident who took a lot of time with me on shift to kind of just say, okay, please hold the probe like this. You know, the other 5 times I told you, position it this way, look at it this way. And eventually it landed and it helped me figure it out. Because once again, not a zero-sum game. When we all do better, we all do better. And that is our goal, to help ourselves, of course, but to help each other become excellent physicians to help our patients. Okay, last but certainly not least, sustainability and happiness. Now, I guess we could all say that this is wellness, but that seems to be falling out of favor. So how about we say sustainability and happiness? But honestly, I don't know if that's the right thing. So if anybody has any suggestions, please put it in the chat, and then all of us can kind of figure out the best way to talk about this. That being said, whatever you want to name it, I hope we can all agree on this. You deserve to be happy. Your loved ones deserve to be happy. They deserve you to be happy. And this job should not consume all of you. It is okay to have boundaries. It is okay to preserve yourself in medical school, in residency, and beyond. But but this does take work, and I do not mean online modules. It does take a lot of reflection, it takes a lot of thoughtfulness, and it really takes a lot of mentorship. So remember the wheel that we talked about a couple slides ago? Again, don't reinvent it. Others have gone down this road with successes and failures. So please learn from them and start doing that now. So when I have asked folks this throughout my entire career, especially early on, their guidance took on a lot of different forms, both big and small. And one of the most common themes that I always heard was trying to figure out how to leave the ED in the ED and be home when you are home. So how do you do it? Honestly, it's an individual answer. And so what I saw is, for some, it's meditation or prayer. For others, it's exercise. For some, it's journaling or talking with their loved ones to decompress from a shift. Whatever it is, start thinking about it and implementing it now so you become better at it and can do it when the stresses mount and the time is shortened. This also applies to other areas kind of traditionally associated with happiness, but it takes you constantly reflecting as to what matters most. Family, travel, exercise, which for this crowd probably means ultra marathons, rock climbing, and free diving, to be honest. But for me, which for me, honestly, it's none of those, and it's pretty sad. I just like a nice stroll out in the woods. That's kind of my jam. My knees are getting bad, so I'm like, I just take a nice little walk. But for me, it's also like little simple things. So it's having Chobani flip yogurts stocked for my morning shifts. And no, I am not a paid endorser for Chobani, but I'm very open to that. So if anybody knows anybody who works for Chobani, I am totally it. I don't know what they did, but it is magic in a little container, and I absolutely love it. And that's probably a little bit crazy, but that's okay. That's me. And I realize that is something that really kind of brings joy and kind of helps me for those 6 a.m. shifts. It's also knowing that when I'm on shift and I feel overwhelmed, that's okay. And what I need to do is take a quick little walk around the department, free myself from some distractions, and give myself that mental space to find that clarity. And that works. It takes time. It takes me and my wife running the schedule months in advance to make sure our calendar is shared and updated constantly. It's giving up time on my phone so I have time with my kids. It's knowing that sleep patterns, the sleep patterns that I need going into and coming out of overnight shifts, and that I sleep better when the room is as cold as an igloo. That's why that's there. Now, that might be TMI. I get it. But guess what? We're all now family in EM. So it's totally okay. Just got to open up to y'all. So I know you're going to have a couple other lectures today that are going to talk about kind of the residency process and how to choose, the right program. I'll really argue, really lean into the culture and not just in the like, hey, everybody cares about wellness and sustainability and this and that. EM is amazing. And I truly believe any and every program is an absolutely wonderful place, but they're all different and they all have different vibes. And that's not better or worse. Different is different, and that's okay. It's about what aligns with you. And it's really something that you need to lean into and figure out the questions that you want to ask residents in that program, leadership, to find out if it's something that really aligns with who you are as a right fit. And those questions will matter so much as you make your choices for residency, fellowship, and wherever you decide to practice in your career. And so I'll say, medicine, med school, residency, these are honestly relatively short in the grand scheme. Your career is long. Build something sustainable, as sustainable as possible, but just know that that journey does need to start now, and it'll evolve just as much as you do. So those are our 5 principles. Super simple, right? I will say, looking back 15 years now in my career, which is utterly unbelievable to think, it's unreal how fast it all goes. You blink and suddenly you're the one who's going to be standing at the foot of the bed, leading the resuscitation, mentoring interns, and helping give a lecture at a symposium like this. But what I'll tell you is, if you keep circling back to these 5 principles, humility, curiosity, compassion, empowerment, and the sustainability and happiness, you will not just survive residency, you'll thrive in it. And you'll help build the kind of career that's not just successful, but it's meaningful and joyful. And you'll realize, again, this job is not about knowing everything. It's about willing to say, I don't know. It's about being open enough to keep learning, kind enough to care deeply, confident enough to empower others, and reflective and aware enough to protect your happiness. And if you can do that, I think in many ways, you'll really set the stage for you to be your absolute best as a medical student, as a resident, fellow, attending, and wherever life takes you. So thank you. That's basically all I got to say today. Just want to once again do the big thanks to you all for being here, for your interest in EM, to AAM and RSA. Again, I scream from the rooftops, just incredible organization. And just thank you for letting me have the chance to chat with you all. And so I will do the stop sharing thing. And if anybody has any questions at all, please let me know. I'll put my email in the chat. If anybody ever wants the email about anything, I am probably religiously too much checking my email, which again goes against sustainability, but hey, sometimes I'm bad.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pfeffer. It was an amazing talk. Really appreciate your time. If there's any questions, please either raise your hand so we can hear from you or put it in the Q&A function based on Dr. Pfeffer's talk. I would really appreciate any questions.
I'll get it started off if there's no questions because that was amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm just like sitting over here giving you snaps along the way. So when you find yourself like falling out of those principles, how do you pull yourself back in?
That's a great question. And to be honest with you, it took a long time just to figure out one, that it's not always me that's going to do it. And it's leaning on my friends, my colleagues, my co-residents, now my co-attendings here, just to even say, hey, something just feels off and I just feel like I'm not clicking the right way. And then from them, just having those conversations, that then reminds me to kind of go back to this. And honestly, one of the things I've started doing somewhat recently is every time I walk into a shift, I think it's like, what is your entrance music, so to speak? Like, what do you want to listen to get you jazzed up? And so I
Oh
always
my
like
God, that's the dream though. That is like to have your walk-on music. That is
oh,
the
yeah.
dream.
I'm not gonna lie, and mine has recently changed because my kids love the movie K-pop Demon Hunters, and I've
Yes.
watched that a million times. I'm not gonna lie, that's catchy. And so I have some of that blasting, but I also have a little note sheet on my phone that I'll pull up, and it has those and a couple other just quick sayings, just to say no matter what's going on in my mind, no matter where life is and all the craziness, I'm walk in, I'm listening to that. I take 15 seconds to read that list, and I'm like, okay, let me just be reminded. And I find in many ways that's what helps me kind of just stay centered.
God, I love that. Since med school, me and my 2 best friends, before every single test, like starting first year of med school, Teo Cruz Dynamite. I know, totally dating myself, like
No,
way back. But that was the song. And to this day, whenever I hear it, I'm like, it's gonna be
see,
okay. Like this is the moment.
Exactly. One, that's a great song. You never need to change it. And that's the thing, don't reinvent the wheel. You created
There
something
you
that
go.
works well, that brings you joy, brings you a healthy dose of nostalgia. Keep that
Yeah,
your entire career.
yeah.
Oh, the importance of a playlist between the morning shift, evening shift, or an overnight shift. Very important the last 5 minutes before.
Brian,
Totally.
couldn't agree more. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you as well. I was creeping in the background during your talk.
It's never creeping. This is what's so funny about EM is it is such a small world. And at events like this, the folks you get to see and chat with, old friends, old colleagues, new friends and new colleagues who actually probably know your old friends and old colleagues, it's pretty incredible. Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you so much. I will stop talking now. And I think Dr. Estes, the floor is now yours.
Really quick, Dr. Pfeffer, there's a few
Yeah.
questions in the Q&A. Are
Oh,
you opening that up? And
oh, there it is. I'm not techie, so here we go. Okay.
And
Perfect. So
take whatever time you need, BT dubs. Like you be fine.
okay. Well, here, I'll read some of these. So these are some great questions. So can we involved in, let's see, projects. So I think that, you know, in terms of advocacy for hospitals and programs for residents who speak up and who really self-advocate for themselves, I think we've seen so much improvement in the last, again, 10 to 20 years, where it is, we're moving past this mentality of just work as hard, just deal with it. And if something's not okay, again, don't speak up, to the point where we're now in a situation where I think places do recognize that and you do advocate for yourself. And a lot of that is from groups like AAEM and RSA, just to give another plug, who have set that kind of standard, who are normalizing it and can give you a community to back you up in those moments. And I think what you'll see in EM in general is that in a lot of ways, those are present in building. And this is, again, one other shout out for EM in general. It's that if you notice something in the hospital that needs to improve, whether as overarching residents, in medical students, as attendings, we in EM are probably the only specialty who really know everybody else in the hospital and can help create and organize a coalition to make change happen. Because I promise, whatever issues kind of we're feeling, a lot of other folks are as well. And so we can be kind of the impetus to really get folks together and create that necessary, much more collaborative entity to make change really happen. All right. Oh, any advice on how to maintain your personal wellness in med school versus residency when you become an attending? I feel like they each require different approaches. Absolutely true. And I will open this up also to Dr. Estes, Brian, like all y'all too. You're right. It is difficult. It does change because life changes, you change, your needs change. When I was in med school or residency, I actually felt, I had my couple core things. I was like, if I can hang out with my friends and my family a certain amount, if I can have certain types of vacation time, if I can take that 5 to 10 minutes per day for a certain level of exercise, for reading, for this and that I kind of felt whole. And I was able to kind of find ways to navigate it, even on kind of SICU rotations and MICU. And then I had kids, and that changed everything. And then I had to really reset and kind of figure that out. Now, my wife and I, we had her 4 kids when we were in as attendings. And so I had more time, so to speak, but then I quickly realized that maybe I had less time. And I was in that moment where I didn't know how to navigate it. But I looked around and I looked at my other colleagues who were both at the same stage and then who were kind of like mid-career and later career, or had children who were a couple years older and then going to high school and college. And that's when I sat down with them, had conversations, and again, really allowed myself, my wife, who was exceptional to this too, to be vulnerable and just say, hey, I don't think I'm doing this right. I don't feel like I'm there and I'm present as much. How did you start navigating and making those changes? And that's where I started to see how other people did it. And not all of the advice I got was necessarily things that I wanted to implement, but I started to see the trends for things that clicked for me, and other areas where people are like, oh yeah, I might not have figured it out, but I know the pitfalls, and those helped me avoid it. And so I think the one big mentality to know is that it is achievable. If you look at any residency, any med school, any program you're at, you will see folks who you look at and say, you're just doing it right. You seem happy, you seem joyful, you seem fulfilled. Recognize those folks and then just dive into it and say, I want you to teach me. Not just, of course, how to run a code. I want you to teach me how you're living life right for you. those types of interviews, that type of mentorship, again, there's very few things that'll matter as much and be a better investment of your time.
Yeah, I'm of the belief you go with the like have a few core principles in your wellness, but don't have a rigid structure because
Yeah,
if
great way to put it.
life has taught me anything that like it will throw you a curveball and will ruin whatever structure you have. But if you can maintain a few core principles in those things, I think that's yeah, as you know, the whole point of your talk. If
Yeah.
you can maintain principles, you can adjust it. Same
Exactly.
with wellness.
Couldn't agree more. And then just throw in the best that you can, always just build in margin. Because like Brian was saying, and I'm sure Molly can agree, like life throws you curveballs. And a lot of times when those curveballs happen, that is a compromise of time. And so anything you can do just to at least build in a little bit extra space, like just know this is a marathon and not a sprint the entire time you're doing it. And so just always to the best that you can say, hey, I'm going to build in an extra day here, an extra hour here. And most of the time that'll be for you. But then when something does happen, you can say, okay, it's not as much of, you can handle a lot easier when you have that time and space already built in to adjust for it.
Yeah, there's a saying I heard from one of my attendings that the perfect plan doesn't have variation for every single account, but, or sorry, I got that. You see, I got it backwards. The perfect plan doesn't account for every single variation. The perfect plan has variation for every single account. Basically saying
Yeah.
like you will never be able to come up with the perfect plan for absolutely everything. But the perfect plan should include wiggle room, anticipating the fact that you're never going to be able to absolutely predict what's going to happen down the road. So be gracious to yourself and just realize that, you know, life is going to happen because life happens, and that is okay. It doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that you're a horrible human being. It doesn't mean that, you know, something's going horribly, ridiculously wrong. A lot of the greatest things in my life that have ever happened were unanticipated things, including things like where I went to med school, and you know where I eventually ended up at residency, and you know where I am currently working. Like, you know, these were never things that I planned along the way. And so being open to some of those variabilities are really, really key, and then having grace with yourself along the way.
Yeah, so true. That's a brilliant point. All right, I see one more question. What would you suggest to someone who ends up at a place that is not a good fit? Well, that's a great question. And here's the thing, it's, you know, stuff happens and life happens, and, you know, a place that you think might really align with you. I mean, yeah, there are times in which it might not. And sometimes that's temporary, sometimes that can be permanent. I will tell you as a program director, the thing I always want is I want to have those conversations early. And so if you have that sense, if you're having that feeling, my hope is that you do have alignment with folks, some folks who are at least there, whether it's program leadership or the former mentors, and just talk it out and really try to unpack what about it is not a good fit. What about it is making it difficult to assimilate? And sometimes, and hopefully a lot of times, there are some modifiable factors in that the program especially can help kind of navigate and work together to achieve. Now, that doesn't always happen. And I'll be honest with you, you know, sometimes that's okay. Change in medicine happens. I remember, for instance, a few of my colleagues who I've worked with throughout my career have done other residencies. And I know you all have met folks like that too. Sometimes what you think is the best move, the best place, the best specialty, you turns out later on is not. And that's okay. People have walked those roads in the past, have changed residencies, have changed specialties. There is a way to go about that if after really again unpacking all of those things that are leading to that choice, and you go down and you want to make that choice, there are ways to do that. So never feel like you're at a loss or you're boxed in. There are ways to help kind of figure out what is the best path forward, whether it's there at that program or again maybe at another site, and that's all okay. In EM, especially, I think we are an amazing specialty in that we really want folks to be their best, but also to be happy wherever that may be. I hope that comes across throughout the interview process too. I think I can speak for all the attendings on here, the people in program leadership. We want to put out there who we are, not to convince everybody to come. Like I would love for everybody to love KU, for instance, but I only want you to like love us and want to come here if you feel like it is the best for you, as opposed to other amazing programs like Northwestern and anywhere throughout the country. It's about what's right for you, and that's about like all of us being honest and authentic, and the same for you all as well. And I think from that you kind of minimize or decrease the chance that it wouldn't be the right fit. But again, if it's not, there are paths forward.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pfeffer, and thanks for taking the extra time to answer all those questions. Really appreciate
Of
you
course.
coming on today and giving us your time and your expertise.
I appreciate it. I wish I could stay on longer. I have 3 kids' soccer games, a kids' football game, and then a birthday party. Because 4 kids means weekends are all about the kiddos, but it's going to be super fun and super adorable. And I just want to say thank you all so much and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Hope you enjoy all the events. Have a good rest of the day.
Bye, friends.
Good luck with the dad cab.
I appreciate it. There'll be a lot of gas tanks filled today.
All right, everyone. We will be moving on to our second keynote presentation. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Molly Estes, who's already been contributing a lot during the last conversation, which I really appreciate. She's the assistant professor for the Department of Emergency Medicine at Northwestern, and also a clerkship director at Northwestern as well. She will be giving a presentation on identity in EM.
Yeah, so good morning, everybody. Let me go ahead and share my slides. Are those coming through okay? Phenomenal. All right. So yes, good morning. It's wonderful to have this opportunity to be able to talk to all of you today. Yes, my name is Molly Estes. I'm the clerkship director at Northwestern University in Chicago. I was asked to give a keynote presentation on how to form your professional identity within emergency medicine, which is a wonderful, all-encompassing, like incredible topic. And anybody who knows me knows that I am absolutely passionate about medicine, and I'm very passionate about emergency medicine. I am lucky enough to say that I truly love what I do. I consider myself one of those rare individuals who managed to end up in a profession, in a place of life where I can say that I truly love what I do. And I love the life that I am living. Now, it is far from perfect. Let me also preface it by saying that. But the highs and the lows are ones that I have worked for my entire life. And I am passionate about helping people find their own personal goals and purposes within the house of medicine and in life too. It's one of the reasons why I was drawn to undergraduate medical education. It's one of the reasons why I am a clerkship director. It's one of the reasons why I am involved in medical student advising on a local and a national level. It's one of the reasons why I tell my own mentees on a very regular basis that my meetings with them are like the best part of my daily job. So as I sat and kind of pondered this question, and as I reflected on how I first began to form my personal and professional identity within emergency medicine, I kind of found myself coming back again and again and again to this deeper question of who I am. You see, for me, medicine is an integral part of my identity. And the reason why I say all of this up front is because that may not be the case for some of you who are listening, and that is completely and totally okay. I hope that you can still take some tips and tricks and pointers out of this talk, but realize that the way that I talk about certain topics may not ring exactly true for you, and that is 100% okay. The beautiful thing about the House of Medicine is that it takes all of us to build a healthy organism. It takes all of us to care for humanity. It takes all of us to strive to make things better for those who come after us. So this is my personal take on the riddle of self and how to form your professional identity within emergency medicine. Take it with a grain of salt and use it to flavor your own recipe for life. There we go. So I know we teach you in medicine to never make any assumptions. In fact, we teach you that assumptions kill people, right? But I'm going to make an assumption for the basis of this discussion that the vast majority of emergency medicine docs who come out of residency will have a career that consists of primarily clinical practice. We actually have quite a bit of national data that suggests that. They have their job, they go to work, they do their shifts, and then they come home and they have the rest of their life. Some of you who are listening might do the exact opposite. You might be planning a career in business or consulting or some other pathway that consists of actually limited or no clinical practice. But many of us will actually have a professional path that weaves in and out of various roles and leadership positions over the course of our careers. Many refer to this as the EM plus model. You practice emergency medicine, plus you do something else on the side. For me, that's academic medicine and medical education. About a third of my salaried time is spent in running the clerkship at my local institution and educating my students. For others, that might be being a department chair or a medical director or running a business on the side or global health or international work or search and rescue. But to talk about developing a professional identity presumes that you do have some kind of niche of some kind. And that niche might be something that is extremely local. You might be the go-to ultrasound person at your shop. You might be the one who leads journal club for your department. But it does kind of presume that you do have a thing that interests you. So we make that assumption as we kind of enter this discussion. In order to figure out where we are going, we have to figure out where we start from. The classic question of the riddle of self is, who am I? And this is a question that each of you must answer for yourselves. So I encourage you to take a moment just now to think of a couple titles for yourself. And it doesn't really matter where you are in your training. You can think about how you title yourself in this moment. So take a second, just reflect. I'm gonna give you about 10 seconds. Title yourself for me right now. A 10-second pause is like the longest thing in an emergency room doctor's life, let me tell you. And it wasn't even 10 seconds, I was closer to 7. But do you have those titles in your head? Maybe you thought of some of these. Did you think of doctor? Did you think of professional? Did you think of patient advocate? Maybe you thought of caregiver. For me, two titles that pop to mind, one of them is sister. Family is really important to me. Another one is teacher. Teacher has always been a very, very important identity for me, even from pre-med school days. Maybe your titles are nothing to do with medicine. Maybe your titles are parent or spouse. These are all ways that we title ourselves, right? These are things and elements of our personal identity. So, what am I getting at? There's a well-known saying, physician, know thyself. And from the best of my research, and please, this is one of those moments where the grain of salt actually becomes a block of salt because I am not an exhaustive, researchician. This was about an hour or two on a Saturday afternoon. But this saying was largely popularized in the Lancet in an editorial that was written in 2010. It's derived from the Latin phrase medice curate ipsum. And if any of you actually know Latin, don't judge my pronunciation. The phrase is often attributed to Hippocrates, but some may actually recognize a biblical reference to Luke 4:23, in which Jesus is quoted by Luke as saying, "Physician, heal thyself." So, what does this refer to? This is a maxim that actually encourages us as physicians to engage in self reflection, to understand our professional identities, our strengths, our limitations, our values, personal and otherwise, which are essential for navigating our career choices, for maintaining our professional integrity, for improving our patient care. This self-awareness is what helps us manage our careers, to avoid burnout, to achieve fulfillment, to ensure that our personal values align with the high standards of care that are demanded by our professions. And many of you are nearing the end of your medical school careers. You are soon about to graduate and go out into the world of residency training. Perhaps we have some residents on the call as well who are nearing the end of your residency career and going to go out into the world of attendinghood. No longer are you going to be handed the life lessons that we want you to be learning on a tray. You're going to be responsible for learning them yourselves. The process of self-reflection is the way that we engage in internalization of the lessons that life is continually teaching us. The drive home after a shift where we wonder if we did exactly what was right for the patient, the interpretation of the feedback that we get from our medical director, the wondering as we drop our kid off at school if we really are doing exactly what's right by them. So we ask ourselves these questions, you know, who do we want to be? What do I like? What do I not like? What can I tolerate? Who do I want to be like? What are my non-negotiables? What are my core values? Where does the line in the sand fall for me? These are all really important questions as we begin to try to figure out what are those identities that we hold dear. As we are forming our identity, what are the boundaries of that identity and where can it maybe bloom and blossom and bend a little bit over time? We need to try things on for size as we form our identity. So many of us out there tried a ton of different hobbies when we were kids, right? Life hasn't changed that much. I mean, a lot of us tried a ton of different hobbies when we were during COVID as well, right? I would love to say that this is one of my knitting projects. It actually wasn't. I do know how to knit, but man, I tried a lot of other hobbies during COVID just to try to keep myself sane. No, one of them was not making sourdough starter. That was one I avoided. Could not commit to remember to do something every 2 to 3 days. Don't judge me. Anyways, but what do you think that your core clinical rotations are as a medical student, if not trying different things on for size, right? What are your electives as a resident, if not trying different, maybe subspecialty fellowships on for size? If you don't know what you like, then try different things. In other words, you need to say yes to a lot of different stuff. Do you want to join this committee? Sure. Do you want this teaching project? Okay. What about going on this ride along? Well, let me see if I have the time. Say yes to a lot of opportunities and then begin to say no. As you begin to narrow your interests, as you begin to actually discover what you do like and dislike, then it is okay to begin to back off. You need to be professional in all things at that point. Don't just ghost on an assignment. Don't dip out in the middle of a committee, obligation. Don't tell your program director, oh, I thought it was okay to just like not do the assignment. None of that stuff's gonna fly. But by professionally stepping back from something that you have discovered is actually not an interest of yours, you not only allow yourself room to begin to grow and develop a new potential interest, but you begin to create opportunities for other people as well. Now, as you are trying things on for size, just a quick note about imposter syndrome, or as we kind of more accurately call these days, imposter phenomenon. So, imposter phenomenon was first described by Dr. Pauline Clance in 1985, and it was initially thought to be only predominant in professional women, actually. So, since that first definition over 40 years ago, imposter phenomenon has been found to be pervasive amongst most high achieving individuals across all fields of professional and personal accomplishment. It's been estimated that 70% of individuals will feel this at some point in their lives and careers. And so, therefore, as you might predict, imposter phenomenon runs rampant through medicine. For us in emergency medicine, we just started seriously looking at this phenomenon as our own, sub profession in 2016. That's when we started internally studying this for ourselves. Based off of literature reviews, we know that imposter phenomenon is present in anywhere from 22 to 60% of individuals within our specialty at any given time, and that even higher numbers of us identify feeling symptoms of imposter phenomenon in the past, including very experienced attendings at late stages of their careers, but they've never admitted it to another human being for fear of being misinterpreted or for fear of being seen in a particular light. So, how do we begin to navigate this in ourselves in addition to still trying to answer kind of this like base question of what we like or don't like in this process of trying things on and attempting to see if it's a fit or not, right? Because we're still stuck in that med school mentality of fake it till you make it, despite the fact that we all know that that's not actually good or accurate or a thing. So when it comes to combating imposter phenomenon, one of the most consistently cited ways to help is to talk about what you are feeling internally. Oh my God, talking about your feelings is like a helpful thing, right? This is where mentors come in. We need people who believe in us, who believe in you, but who can also kind of like call you out at the same time. And you have all probably naturally started developing this, at least on a near peer level, right? Everyone's sitting around at any given time, and inevitably the conversation kind of turns to, oh, I had this crazy patient, this abnormal thing happened, whatever. We rely on our peers to validate our thoughts or to offer critiques to us. But we also need others in our lives who are more experienced to do the same. Now, an important note about mentors, not one size fits all. We need, as human beings, we need multiple mentors for various different aspects of our lives. We need a mentor for our clinical practice. We need a mentor for our business endeavors, if that's where your pathway is going to take you. You need a mentor for your academic career. I have multiple different mentors that are exclusive to my career in my job with medical students, as opposed to my practice as an actual physician. Many of you already have individuals that you identify as mentors. There is no rule that says when you finish medical school that you aren't allowed to take those people with you into your career in residency. You need to keep your mentors close. You need to actively search out new ones for new stages in your life. You need to realize that this is an important part of your ongoing growth process well into late stages of your career. And we need to remind ourselves to keep our priorities straight. What is most important in your life? Probably not medicine, actually. I started this by saying that medicine and my identity as a physician was a very key, core, central part of my personal identity. And yet, in the very same breath, I will also admit that while it is a core, central part of me, it is not the most important part of me. The most important parts of my identity are my identity as a daughter and a sister and a friend and as a partner. Those key foundational aspects of yourselves are the more important things. And at the end of the day, medicine is a job, and it is a very important job. And it is one that I believe is a calling on my life. And many of you might feel similarly. But you need to remember that it is only one aspect of who you are. Your career is your own and not anyone else's. What works for your classmates, your co-resident, may not be the best thing for you. Their dreams and goals and aspirations are not yours. For those of you who are graduating, most of you are about to have the most control over your own life that you have experienced to date. It is exciting and it is daunting. So I encourage you to always come back to your center. The reason why you decided to do this emergency medicine thing in the first place, the reason why you decided to do this medicine thing in the first place, and ultimately where you want your career to go. So thank you very, very much for your attention. It really was a privilege to be able to talk to you today. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all might have, including the wonderful panel of people that I know are also on this call. I'm going to freely volunteer them into also helping answer any questions that you all might have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Estes, for that amazing talk. We do have a question coming up in the Q&A. Are you able to view that?
Let me see. Open, open, open. So how do you learn to let go and start saying no to projects? It's easy to love a lot of disconnected parts of EM, and there are only enough hours in the day, but how do you narrow your professional focus without worrying that you're putting all of your eggs in one basket? In all honesty, that's kind of where the mentor part comes in, because most of us will get a little overcommitted before we realize that we need to narrow. That I would love to say that that doesn't happen, but that's kind of the natural growth process of most of these things. And perhaps, some of my colleagues who are also on will have a little bit of a more mature answer in comparison to my own experiences over life. But most of us, when you do come out of med school and enter training, or when you come out of residency and enter attendinghood, you will say yes to quite a few different things. And as you are trying them on for size, because you do not know exactly what you like or don't like, and you will get a little overcommitted. And you will need very, very reliable, good people in your life in order to tell you, hey, you're getting a little bit too stretched. It's time to draw yourself back. And you're going to need good people in your life to be able to help you sit down and say, hey, so let's troubleshoot here. Do you really like this thing? Okay, is this thing actually required for your job so you can't give it up? Is this a thing that your chair told you you need to do so you can't give it up? Where can we begin to prune things? And you need people who are a little bit more experienced in their careers as well, so that way they have a little bit of future sight to say, okay, you might really hate this right now, but it's going to be good for you in the long run. When about 6 years ago, I got some advice from a mentor of mine that I should become an oral board examiner. I had zero desire to become an oral board examiner. And she told me, it's going to be really good for you. You should do it. She was 100% right. And it ended up being a really, really good experience for me. So again, I'm going to cite mentorship. It's really helpful. Oh, hey, Ben, how's it going? Ben asks, as someone interested in the EM Plus model career, as you mentioned, how do you recommend seeking mentorship in areas we are just beginning to explore? Emergency medicine is a very small world. And so use the mentors and the connections that you have right now. So clerkship directors and advisors are really wonderful people to put you in touch with people that they know who are more niched in to the area that you are interested in pursuing. That's kind of some of the first stepping stones to really growing your network within your specific niche area of interest. And then let's see. Marco, how do you make sure to find time to meet with your mentors, especially when you get busy with life, coffee dates, post-shift drinks or breakfast if it's a night shift? Very small little meetings tend to work best instead of thinking that you need a 2-hour deep dive into all of the foibles and good things and, soul searching aspects of every single, part of life. Most of us in emergency medicine are used to fitting in little meetings at random hours of time. And we're also used to you as a resident disappearing for a couple months on end as you're on off service rotations and then coming back to the mothership when you're on your ED months. And then we'll have a couple of mentorship meetings. So we are used to being extremely flexible. The more that you communicate with your mentor, hey, I'm going to be on, ICU rotations for the next 3 months. Can we set up a meeting when I'm back? Or, hey, I just had a really horrible ICU shift. Can we go walking for 5 minutes as I kind of, need to just debrief this really horrible case that I saw? We can roll with a lot of that. The more that you talk to us, the more that we are actually able to meet you where you're at. You're never imposing on us. You're never, annoying us. Just tell us what you need. Like, we are really happy to meet you where you're at. Oh, and thank you, anonymous attendee. I'm glad that the talk was able to help. So cool. Any other thoughts from the panel on any of those things?
Good calendars, good friends. But Dr. Estes currently has a track of volunteering me. We joke the volunteering me into various projects or positions, but the reality is like I say yes because it fits into the structure of like what I fit, where my goals are, and the advantage of having like good friends within your bubble of, well, in our case, medical education, but emergency medicine, is that usually the things that they're asking you to do usually fit into your algorithm as well. Plus, I always like to save a little space in my like workload. It's like the next project, yes. So I always leave a little bit of a gap because if I don't fill it with a project, great. I now have more personal time that I can chase my toddler around with. And if I do, well, that's still built into my like designated work time.
Well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, everyone. So we're going to be entering our class-specific panel. So enter the panel or class-specific session. So go ahead and enter the session with your class panelists. You should also be able to enter your rooms as well. So this is a period where members of program leadership will come on, give a quick overview and synopsis of what their program has to offer, and can give you some good insight into what are kind of the strengths of each program. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Dr. Ahn from University of Chicago.
Hey, thank you. I'm here. Well, hello all. I don't really have slides. These are just like 3 to 5 minutes, but thank you all for coming on a Saturday morning. Welcome to emergency medicine. It's a pretty exciting time in you all's lives. So my name is James Ahn. I'm the PD at U Chicago. I guess I'll tell you a little bit about us. We're a 3-year university program on the south side of Chicago. For you all who are unfamiliar with this area, this is an underserved community that is primarily Black patient population. We are the busiest level 1 trauma center on the south side in Chicagoland. We're also a stroke and STEMI center. This patient population, it's combined with like the tertiary quaternary healthcare that is associated with most university hospitals. So it's a pretty unique population that's incredibly ill as well as complicated from both medical care as well as social determinants of health. Our mission for residency training in that clinical environment is to develop leaders in emergency medicine. And we have a sort of tripartite framework to do that. One, Of course, we want to maximize your clinical development, but also your extra clinical development. Basically and briefly, we're an early autonomy program that gets you practicing EM early and often. And we also recognize that everyone has a clinical plus mission, something else that makes you tick. And whatever that passion is, I promise you that we will mentor, sponsor, and support that when you come here. Two, we want to create a training environment that expands the role of health equity in medicine. Representation of minoritized groups is essential for optimized healthcare, as well as community engagement and dedicated curricula/experiences that examine health equities. Our goal is for our graduates to embody these principles and carry them forward in their practices as attendings. And finally, the last part of our mission is really, to keep you all you, right? You all are in fourth year and like living your best lives, I hate to tell you all, residency is hard. And that's just the simple truth no matter where you go. So, there's a lot of structure and rules and regulations about residency that's really hard to change. So personally, I think it's incumbent on us as a program to be cognizant of the fact that residency is hard and oftentimes inflexible. But as we create physicians in emergency medicine, we need to try and soften these sort of edges of training where we can. And we do that with sort of intentional like wellness funding, programming to keep a culture of well-being and frankly kindness for you all as you journey into becoming emergency medicine physicians. So, in summary, if you choose to train here, we will support your development as a leader in medicine and keep you, right? It's early in the season. I appreciate you all coming on a Saturday morning. If you want more information, you can contact me personally and or like check out our socials. Unfortunately, none of us can be here for the residency fair, so feel free to reach out. All right. Thanks all.
Thank you so much, Dr. An. Appreciate you coming on for today. So yeah, I mean, just a quick message to all of our residency program leadership members. If you guys have slides that you want to present, you're able to share your slides. I know if you sent your slides to me, and I can also screen share as well. So let me know if that's something you'd want me to do. And next on the list, Dr. Whitworth.
Hi all, I am gonna share my screen. Can you all see it? Perfect. Okay. So I'm program director at Corewell Health Lakeland. We are in Southwest Michigan, about an hour and 45 minutes by car to Chicago. We have 280,000 catchment area for our patients. There are not any closer centers other than Kalamazoo, which is an hour away, and Grand Rapids, which is an hour and 20 minutes away. Our main ERs are a larger community site in St. Joseph, as well as a smaller community site in Niles. We also have a standalone ER in Watervliet. Between these, we treat about 80,000 patients per year. 19% of these are pediatric, which is nice. There's no segregated pediatric pod. So you're going to see, 3 years worth of pediatric visits. You'll see the summer injuries followed by the winter sicknesses 3 separate times. So you'll really get good exposure. We also have a high acuity rate with 32% of our patients requiring admissions. These are 2 main sites. So while it seems like there wouldn't be a very diverse patient population in Southwest Michigan, that's actually where I was surprisingly wrong when I was looking at this area. So St. Joseph has St. Joseph and Benton Harbor populations. The St. Joseph population is more of your typical suburban middle class patients, as well as tourists in the summer. And then Benton Harbor is a very low socioeconomic area with a lot of healthcare disparities and unfortunately a very high penetrating trauma rate. So we see a lot of gunshot wounds and a lot of stabbings from that patient population. We also have 2 large interstates that intersect right behind Benton Harbor. So we see a lot of MBCs from that area as well. Niles is our smaller community site. It has 21 beds. We see a more kind of rural population in this area, also underserved. A lot of weird farm accidents, kind of your more rural country type accidents with this population. So you really kind of get a varied scope when you train at one of these sites. We try to split our time 2/3 at St. Joe and 1/3 at Niles. Our program is unopposed, so we only have internal medicine and FM in this hospital system. So all of the procedures, all of the traumas in the ER are done by our residents. Ortho doesn't come down to reduce anything. Plastics isn't coming to do your laceration. They're all on you. We are level 3 trauma center, getting ready to be level 2. We do not have a trauma team. Our residents are the trauma team. So any trauma patients coming in, our residents are taken care of from start to finish, head to toe, until they go to the operating room or transferred out of our facility. These are just a few pictures of our residents. We have 27 residents in total, 9 each year. Our shifts are 10 hours long. You average about 18 per block. We have protected time on Wednesdays from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. for didactics. We have an SSH accredited simulations lab on site. Our residents get to spend 5 hours of protected time there every month with high fidelity simulations as well as task trainers. We have asynchronous learning days where we either try to do our didactics outside or have a group activity like a beach walk or wiffle ball or hockey. We do hazmat training and Coast Guard training. We also have a culinary medicine program. We do some event medicine. Redbud, the nation's largest motocross race, is held around Niles. So we get to treat the patients on site as well as in our ER at Niles. We have a resident retreat for wilderness as well as regular retreats and social journal clubs. We have longitudinal tracks, which I'd be happy to talk to you about later. We are affiliated with CMU, MSU, and Western Michigan University, and there's where some of our graduates have gone. We also have a dedicated resident student housing in town overlooking the water, which is amazing. So I look forward to talking to you later when we are at the fair.
Thank you so much, Dr. Whitworth. All right, next up we have Advocate Christ and Dr. Carlson.
And I'll share my screen because I think I have a slide here with our social media addresses, which I want people to be able to have. Great. Can everybody see it? Awesome. Great. So hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Andrea Carlson. I'm the program director for the Emergency Medicine Residency Program at Advocate Christ Medical Center. Really appreciate this opportunity to familiarize you all with our program and really to share the key things that make it so special. We're located in Oaklawn, Illinois, which is in the south side of Chicago. Our center is a level 1 trauma center. We handle about 105,000 patient visits annually. We're one of the busiest and a very high acuity ED in the region. We're also a transplant center. We're an LVAD center. We're a comprehensive stroke center. So you'll be exposed to cutting edge medicine in every corner of the field with us. So to start off, I'd like to share some of the core beliefs of our program, and we can go into deeper detail in the individual sessions. We've built our residency around 4 principles that guide pretty much everything we do. First and foremost, number 1, we are committed to training clinically confident, expert emergency physicians. That's our number 1 goal. We're dedicated to making sure that you graduate as a confident, skilled, well-rounded emergency physician and that you're literally ready for anything that comes your way. Whether it's trauma, critical care, pediatrics, you'll be prepared to take on any challenge. We have a unique 1-to-1 teaching model that really allows for early exposure to high acuity cases so that your learning and your clinical confidence can take off early and truly grow hyperbolically in those 3 years. Second, we value advocacy. We only want the best for our patients, the best outcomes, and the best experience. Our patient population is diverse, and we believe that the best way to serve them is to ensure that our physician team is committed to advocating for their individual and unique needs. We come from all walks of life, and we have a culture of community partnership in our department. We feel it makes us stronger as a team and also as caregivers. We're family here, all under one roof, and we really embrace that wholeheartedly. Third, physician wellness is an important aspect that needs to be taught in residency training. You know, it's often said that residency is a time of imbalance. In truth, residency is the time to teach balance, because if you're imbalanced in residency during your formative years, you're likely to go on and continue that imbalance into your career, and we don't want that. We understand that residency is tough. We take wellness very seriously. We have some built-in support systems to keep you healthy physically, emotionally, and mentally. We have significant and sustainable resources to support time for wellness for our residents. And finally, individualized career preparation is a very important facet of our program. It helps we're all under one roof. We're interacting frequently with your mentors and with each other. Your career goals really do matter to us, whether you're interested in academics, community practice, research, or fellowships like ultrasound, critical care. We'll work with you to tailor your training to meet your individual aspirations. All of our core rotations are at Christ, and that allows for some daily interface with your mentors who really get to know what your strengths are and what your needs are. Additionally, we provide 3 full months of elective time, which allows residents to truly customize their training focus and their career preparation. We have one of the longest standing ultrasound fellowships in the country, with faculty who are internationally engaged. But beyond that, ultrasound is also an integral part of daily practice in our ED. Every day, you'll be using ultrasound as a tool to diagnose and manage patients more effectively and efficiently. It's a skill we emphasize early and often, so by the time you graduate, it really will feel like second nature to you. Another standout feature of our strong program is our pediatric emergency medicine experience. We have a pediatric hospital and a dedicated pediatric emergency department. As a resident, you'll get longitudinal PDM experience. Every month that you're scheduled in the adult ED, you'll have a subset of your shifts also in the pediatric ED. So you'll work very closely with our pediatric team throughout your training. You'll see the seasonality of pediatric disease rather than on isolated rotations. That gives you some confidence and skill to really handle pediatric emergencies seamlessly. We have a strong critical care exposure. We have a growing department of EM intensivists who work in both the ICU settings as well as at your side in the emergency department shifts. They're truly some of our best and most enthusiastic educators. And I do credit them with the growing number of our graduates that are following their EM training with critical care fellowships and careers. So I want to invite you, it's on the slide here. Please check out our program further online. On our website, you can catch a few views of the new emergency department, which opened in September 2023, provides state-of-the-art resources to help you train in an environment that really matches your ambitions. In summary, our program offers a high volume, high acuity experience at a major academic medical center. We focus on training expert physicians, promoting wellness, individualized career preparation, and fostering a diverse and inclusive environment. With advanced tools like ultrasound and a cutting-edge new facility, we offer everything you need to become the emergency physician you aspire to be. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to going into deeper detail and answering any questions you might have in the 12 o'clock residency fair.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carlson. I want to reiterate to our attendees that after this lightning rounds, we will have a residency fair, and during that, if you have any questions specific, that will be a good time to ask those. So we're going to keep running through this and just save your questions for the fair. Next up is Dr. Williams here.
I'm here.
Hello.
Hello. All right, 1 second here. Let me get my slide ready to go here. All right. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Kathleen Williams. I'm the program director for the residency program at the Medical College of Wisconsin. We are a 3-year urban academic program located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on the shores of Lake Michigan. We're a mid-sized program with our next class expanding to 14 residents from 12 previously. Our residents really get to spend time in a supportive environment. We have robust mentorship and peer support programs available on campus. We have a lot of well-established career development programming, including 10 scholarly tracks in EM subspecialties, including critical care, ultrasound, informatics, social EM, many others. We additionally have 8 emergency medicine fellowships available on campus, including EMS, toxicology, operations and administration, and simulation, and several others. Our residents really spend their time in a high acuity environment. Our adult and pediatric centers, which are on our main campus, are both the level 1 trauma centers for all of Southeast Wisconsin. And so we essentially are taking transfers from the eastern half of the entire state of Wisconsin. Our combined volume at our 2 main sites is 150,000. And we're the old county hospital that is now with academic resources. So our patient population is a very broad mix and very diverse as far as both with their medical complaints and the social context that they're living in. In regards to pediatrics, we have a very robust pediatric program here. Our residents complete longitudinal experiences in pediatrics. Our children's hospital is also the location of the Wisconsin Poison Center. And so our residents get a very extensive toxicology exposure as well. As far as our trauma volume goes, our adult site sees 4,000 trauma visits a year, with a quarter of those being penetrating traumas. As being the only level 1 trauma center in our city, we are very connected and very proud to be from Milwaukee. It's an awesome, wonderful, mid-sized Midwestern city with lots of very nice people, great, restaurants, arts, culture, museums, all those types of things, and really very affordable for our residents. If you're into pro sports teams, we have both Major League Baseball team and an NBA team here in our city, and then the Packers are just a very short drive north, so you can do all of those things. I hope you'll consider joining us at the open house. We would be happy to talk with you more and answer any questions. We additionally have a virtual meetup coming up this Wednesday, which you can look at on our Instagram site. So we encourage you to follow us there as well. All right, have a great morning, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Next up, we'll go to my own school, the Indiana University School of Medicine, Dr. Para.
Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Para or Brooke Para. It's nice to meet you guys. Let me get my screen shared here for a few slides. I'm one of the assistant program directors at Indiana University in Indianapolis. All right. So we are the only residency program for emergency medicine in Indianapolis. So we get to see a lot of cool and awesome things. It's a great place to train. Kind of our highlights are our world-class clinical training. We have individualized career development and resources to make you be able to get individualized training and have a huge impact when you leave us and go on to other awesome things. We have a supportive, inclusive community of people that makes our big program feel small. We are a pretty big program, but we all feel like family and make it feel a lot smaller with how personalized we make our training. And then Indianapolis is a great place to train and live. So I'm going to talk just a little bit more about those things. Okay, so yeah, we train at 3 level 1 trauma centers in Indianapolis. So we get a really wide, awesome diversity of training. We train at Methodist, which is kind of like our big academic tertiary care center site, though still sees a very large urban underserved population as well. Eskenazi Hospital is our county hospital, so definitely catering more to the underserved population, sees a lot of immigrant populations as well. We have interpreters there and our, virtual interpreters that you're using a lot of your shift. We have a large Spanish speaking population, a large Haitian Creole speaking population as well. And then we have Riley Children's Hospital, which is our pediatric center. So between those 3, we're at about 250,000 visits a year. But all 3 are very, very busy training sites where you get lots of autonomy, lots of personalized one-on-one teaching with our faculty, and awesome training. We, as I mentioned, are a big program in terms of residents. We have 21 categorical residents every year in our 3-year program. And then we have 2 each year for our 5-year emergency medicine pediatrics combined as well. So we have a big program with lots of faculty working at those sites too, which if whatever you're interested in, we have someone who is also interested in that and can help you kind of get the training that you want. It's always fun to share all the fun pictures of everything. There's our current 2nd-year class up on our helipad. Up on the top left there is at our annual winter gala. When it's a little gray and dreary in the Midwest, we throw a big party and get dressed up, and every year is a different theme. So that year it was a disco theme, and you can tell that everyone certainly went all out on dressing up for that. The bottom left corner there is our current APD team. This was taken down in southern Indiana on Lake Monroe. We were there for our 3rd-year retreat. We do a retreat every year for each class. We really value having a supportive, inclusive community of people. Like I said, we are a big program, but we make it feel small with our mentorship, with getting to connect with other residents, doing social things. The faculty here are really dedicated, making sure that they get to know you personally as a person, and when they're working on you with shift, that really comes through. And then Indianapolis is a awesome, fun city to live in. I feel like it's a little bit of a underrated or a hidden gem. I'm from Michigan originally, and I moved here for residency and I've stuck around. And a lot of us here at IU have that same story where we kind of came here and loved it and stuck around. Our children's museum is like one of the best in the country. We have the Colts and the Pacers, of course, and would be remiss without mentioning the Indy 500, which happens here every May. And we have a motorsports elective where you get to like hang out and be part of the medical crew for that, which is really fun. So yeah, really excited to talk to you guys a little bit more in the fair. I'll be around there for a little bit. If anyone wants to chat more and ask more questions, I'll put my email and our Instagram in the chat as well.
Thank you, Dr. Para. Next up, we have St. Louis University.
Okay, give me just 1 second. I will get my PowerPoint shared.
Take your time.
Okay, share. There we go. Okay, can everybody see that? Okay. So, okay, well, very good. So, hi, I'm Craig Krause. I'm the program director at St. Louis University. Greetings from the gateway to the Midwest, gateway to the West. So we are a 3-year program. We have 8 residents per class. Our residency seeks to have distinction and fulfillment of its mission in teaching, research, healthcare, and service to our community. We are dedicated to providing leadership in the quest for education, healthcare, and community outcomes. Our residents work primarily at St. Louis University Hospital, which was built in 2000. Our new hospital was built in 2020. It is a safety net hospital for the city of St. Louis, and we are very proud of that fact. We are an academic center, we're a stroke center, we're a transplant center, we're a cardiac center, we do ECMO. We are also a level 1 trauma center for American College of Surgeons, and we are the busiest trauma center in Missouri. We see a very high critical volume of patients, and we throw our residents' feet to the fire right away. We do pair up our interns with our third years during the first year. That way they can get their feet wet and seeing almost anything in the department. And we are very procedure heavy, and we pride ourselves on getting our residents into doing procedures as quickly as possible. We are also an adult hospital, so we as well have a children's hospital, Cardinal Glen Children's Hospital, which is building a brand new hospital, which will be completed in January of 2027. And it's going to be 14 stories tall, and I think about 8 stories are already built, and they're currently on the way with that. We also rotate through St. Clair Hospital out in the community to provide more of that community feel and be able to see how it's a little bit different than working in the urban environment. One thing that is exciting that is happening as we speak is we are recruiting our first chair of emergency medicine. We have been a division of the Department of Surgery for the last, for a while. Our residency's been around since 2009. And so we are recruiting a new chair, and we're starting up a brand new department. We have several fellowships, including pediatric emergency medicine, primary care, sports medicine, addiction medicine, and neurocritical care. We have a family culture in our residency. We're really focused on wellness for our residents. As you can see, we do a float trip every year. We also have our Christmas parties. We also do a lot of different things around about in St. Louis. And of course, you may know that St. Louis is home to the St. Louis Cardinals. Even though we're not going to be in the playoffs this year, the Cardinals are pretty awesome to go watch and see every year, and St. Louis City Soccer. I hope to meet with several of you during the residency fair, and hope you have a great day learning about all these great programs that are out there, because after watching all of them, I think I want to go to a whole bunch of them. But I hope you have a great rest of the day, and hope to talk to you later.
Thank you so much. All right, next program is Trinity Health Muskegon.
Hi, everybody. My name's Adam Guizdella. I'm actually one of the PGY4s. I'm one of the chief residents up there. Unfortunately, Dr. Hoffman couldn't make it today. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our program. So we are West Michigan Emergency Medicine Residency. When you're looking us up online, it's probably Trinity Health Muskegon. Reason why we call ourselves that is because we actually do 2 hospitals. We do Muskegon Hospital and then Trinity Health Grand Rapids. A little bit about our hospitals. First is Trinity Health Muskegon. It is a 64-bed ER with 3 trauma bays. We see about 80,000 patients a year, with about 20 to 25% of those being pediatric patients. We have about a 12% admission rate. The nice thing about this hospital is it is a unopposed residency. So we only have family medicine, internal medicine, and OBGYN residencies, including the ER residency at our hospital. So any orthopedics that come in, you do your own reductions, you do your own splints, all of that stuff. There's no ICU fellow, so you're doing all your central lines and everything like that. As far as Trinity Health St. Mary's or Grand Rapids, that is a level 2 trauma center as well. They're a 40-bed ER. They have 4 trauma bays, see about 60,000 patients a year. They do have orthopedic surgery and general surgery residencies there, but we work in conjunction with them, and we still get a lot of procedures there. We have a bunch of tracks available that I'm happy to talk to you guys about in our breakout session that I will be in later. Kind of the goals of our residency with Dr. Hoffman is he really wants to make good emergency medicine physicians. And so he focuses on getting you guys involved and out there starting your first day. So starting out, you will be in the pod by yourself with an attending physicians and getting right into it. So some residencies have the interns manage the airway. At our residency, you manage everything as far as traumas, priority 1 patients, all the sick patients. I'm happy to answer any questions during the breakout sessions, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gwizdala. All right, next up we have University of Iowa.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Kayla Pomerantz. I am one of the APDs at the University of Iowa. And then we have our education fellow, Dr. Shaban, on here as well. This is just a couple of our pictures of our residents doing some wellness activities and some other things. This is a group of our faculty from last year. Our residency leadership. So I am the newest APD. And then Dr. Ober, our program director, this is his second year as our PD. We have faculty that are trained in a variety of different fellowship training. We have EMS, toxicology, sports, global health, ultrasound, pediatrics, and education faculty. And then also on our faculty, we have some EM pharmacists. We have ED psych providers that are also part of our faculty. And then we also have some research faculty that help support our resident research program. Our faculty have trained pretty broadly across—
Training from coast to coast, north and south. They hail from academic community.
Oops, sorry, that is Dr. Shaban talking. Our residents graduate and go across the country into a variety of different locations, from community, critical access, and academic institutions, and some fellowships as well. Our training environment, we have 3 main sites. At our main site, as a level 1 trauma center, we have about 37% admission rate and 5% ICU rate. So our patients are very sick. And we have a very large catchment area across the state of Iowa and surrounding states as well. St. Luke's is our community site that's about 30 minutes away, where residents spend 3 months getting a little bit different exposure than they do at the main academic site. We have a critical access hospital that we staff as well, that residents can spend a month at for an elective experience. And then we just opened our freestanding— sorry, that was— hold on one sec. So we have a 3-year program with academic, community, and critical access sites. We have the 8+1 shift model. Our residents decrease their clinical shifts each year with some teaching and EMS shifts or flight shifts their 3rd year. We have longitudinal curriculums in pediatrics, ultrasound, and EMS. And then we have 10 in-house fellowships to support resident aspirations, no matter what they're interested in after. We are open to questions and some more information during the breakout sessions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pomerantz. Appreciate it. Next up, we have University of South Dakota, Sanford.
Hi, I'm Dr. Polsey, and I'm the program director. Let me get us started. So we are a combination academic and university site. Our sponsoring institution is the University of South Dakota, and we are proud to be the first residency program in a 5-state region. We have a number of program faculty. I'm the program director. I trained at the Medical College of Wisconsin, so staying in the Midwest. And then our assistant program director actually comes from the East Coast, Kenji Hamanaka, and he'll be joining me in the breakout session. We also have a number of faculty, including ultrasound fellowship trained and EMS fellowship trained faculty. They have trained all across the country as well, and are looking to bring that diverse experience to our educational program. A little bit about Sioux Falls, South Dakota. That's where we're based. We're affiliated with the medical school there. We are an adult level 1 and a pediatric level 2 trauma center. We have over 500 beds. The Sioux Falls area itself has around 280,000 people in the metro area, but we're also a large referral hospital for a large catchment area. It is not uncommon that my patients travel hundreds of miles to get to our hospital. To do that, we have a large telemedicine service that our residents will be able to be involved in, as well as a medical flight transport program. We are affiliated with a large rural healthcare center, and one of our sites is in Aberdeen, South Dakota, and that's a level 3 trauma center that sees about 9,000 patient visits per year. And one of our core faculty is up there, and our residents will get true rural health exposure up there in a supported manner. We have a new Starbucks in the lobby. That's my favorite thing. A large children's hospital, a large kind of academic complex, and some state-of-the-art building. The emergency department is on the list for improvements in the next couple of years, starting with a pediatric emergency department that will be opening up in a couple of months. We have all the regular emergency department rooms, and then a fairly large, broad, diverse program or patient population, including a large Native American population, and then Sioux Falls itself has a large immigrant population. An interesting fact about us is many of our patients have PCPs, which makes outpatient management more possible than it was where I trained in Milwaukee. We've got 32 ED beds and then a number of benefits, including obviously the trauma team and other residency programs. We've got social workers and ED pharmacists in the department. And then our new PEDS ED will boast 9 new patient rooms, a new trauma room, and a second CT scanner. And we have 4 dedicated PEM faculty to help us with that. Little overview of what we plan to do for our schedule. And we offer some unique opportunities, including rural health, international health, and a flight track. We've got a lot of fun things going on at work, some simulation centers, some research opportunities, and we are supported by a medical school that's very involved. We are also recruiting for a chair for the new Department of Emergency Medicine, which is just starting up. We do have a couple of other residency programs that join us, including surgery, pediatrics, internal medicine, and family medicine, but you're still the only people in the emergency department for the most part. And the city of Sioux Falls has a number of opportunities, including sports and great living. And I'm happy to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing, actually, answer more. I can go into more detail when we're in the breakout session.
Thank you so much. All right, next up we have Western Michigan Homer Stryker.
All right. Well, let me share my screen here. Okay, great. So I am the program director. I am excited to spend my birthday with you guys. And so a little bit about our program. So you're seeing lots of great programs, and the bottom line is you guys are going to get good education anywhere you go. What's cool about us? Well, we see about 150,000 patients a year. We have integrated pediatrics, so we're not shipping you off to the children's hospital. And we have 3 things that we do real well. Simulation. So every month that you are here, you are in the sim center working on the critical cases, working on that hand-eye coordination. What else is neat about us is we do a lot of critical care, and our critical care is all ER team. And what I mean by that, your senior resident on that service is going to be emergency medicine. There's no internal medicine on there. There's no fellows. And that emergency medicine resident senior is looking out for you, making sure you get all your procedures, intubations, lines, all that stuff. And what is also neat about us is we probably have the best in the nation pre-hospital care. Starting your second year, we have a resident response vehicle, and we have in Kalamazoo County, you respond to all cardiac arrests, major motor vehicle accidents in the field. So you're intubating in the field, you are running cardiac arrests in the field, and that really does help you develop your autonomy. And so I think there's only one other program in the United States that has something like that at the resident level. And so our real goals is to provide you the guidance and training that you need to be an excellent emergency physician, because that's number one. And and if you want to know more about us, come meet us in the breakouts, and we'd be more than happy to tell you a little bit more about us. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pazderka. All right, next up we have Northwestern University.
Hello, everyone. I am Amber Fant. I am the program director at Northwestern. We're so happy that you are all here. I don't really have slides, but I just wanted to put up a photo of all of our current residents as we talk through about Northwestern today. I also know we're running late, so I will try to be very pithy and brief here. So Northwestern is a 4-year university-based emergency medicine residency located in the heart of Chicago. We are right off of Lake Michigan. So when you come to Northwestern, you have all of the wonderful things that Chicago can offer, including all of the lakefront access. We are one of the oldest emergency medicine residencies in the country, which is cool, but really what that does is it gives you access to hundreds of alumni that are located in almost every state across the country and multiple countries outside of the US as well. This is awesome when you start to think about opportunities as you leave residency. There's almost always someone in a city that you want to go to that you can talk to get information from. We have 15 residents per year for a total of 60. Our clinical sites are kind of varied. We have our main site, which is located at the Northwestern Memorial Hospital downtown. It is a level 1 trauma center. We are also a certified stroke and STEMI center, and we have an annual census of 100,000 patients. You spend a good chunk of your clinical time down there, but we also actually have 2 affiliated community sites that you rotate at each of your second, third, and fourth years. One of them is a very busy, unopposed community community hospital, which is located in Lake Forest, which is kind of north of Chicago, closer to the Wisconsin border. There's a lot of pediatric experience there, a lot of critical care experience there. And again, you are the only residents in the department. And then we also rotate at a safety net hospital in Gary, Indiana called Methodist Northlake, which allows our residents to really get very immersed in a medically underserved population. Again, completely unopposed. And honestly, the ED docs are some of the only physicians in the hospital at all overnight there. Additional clinical experiences include 2 blocks of rotation with the trauma team at Cook County, a block with toxic, as well as longitudinal pediatric experience at Lurie Children's, which is the #1 children's hospital in Illinois. We do have extensive ICU experience. It's one of, I think, the defining factors of the Northwestern Emergency Medicine residency. You get to spend time in ICUs over 8 different blocks across all different kinds of ICUs, both as a junior, as an intern, and then in a senior role as a second and third year. So not only do you get exposure to all the ICUs, but you also get to run the teams, run the codes, really experience the decision making. I think the best part about Northwestern, however, is all of the extra clinical experiences. We are affiliated with a world-class university, so you have access to everything the university has to offer. Really, whatever you were interested in, there is someone we can connect you with. But we in particular have a lot of folks that specialize in research, particularly in geriatrics, addiction medicine, and brain injury. The larger sponsoring institution has something called the Clinical Scholars Programs, which are 2-year kind of mini fellowships in global health, medical education, and health equity. There's an opportunity for a shortened duration MBA through the Kellogg School of Business, as well as, again, everything else at the undergrad university level, whether that's journalism, whether that's ethics, whether that's performance. We have the capabilities of getting you connected with them. Finally, we have fun. These are all of our residents at our retreat here at the end of August. We have lots of wellness and social events. Our residents really do feel like they are each other's family. Great relationships with the faculty as well. Our faculty tend to host all of our wellness events in the evenings. So we would love for you to come and check us out at the fair. I will not be there, but my Associate Program Director, Kelly Williamson, will be. I'm going to stop sharing and then I will put our contact information in the chat. Thanks all.
Thank you so much. All right, next up we have University of Kansas.
Hello, all. My name is, sorry, let me get this into share mode. Let's see if it'll do it. All right, my name is Moji Hassan. I am from KU Medical Center, or the University of Kansas, which is in Kansas City, Kansas. One thing about us, Kansas City is one city, but in 2 states. So it does span across Kansas and Missouri, and we're sitting right on state line. And so we see patients from both states all the time, and then also our surrounding states as well. We are a 3-year program. We take 13 residents per class. And during the residency, if you want to go a little bit deeper into different areas of emergency medicine, we do have 14 residency tracks where you can come out with some deeper training and also possibly a certificate in different specialties within emergency medicine, anything from rural medicine, ultrasound, global health, and we're even starting an AI track this year. We also have 6 fellowships within our department, including med ed, administration, ultrasound, EMS, and we have 2 fellows this year that are doing palliative care and also informatics. We do have sports medicine available at the hospital and also critical care that emergency medicine residents are able to go into. We are ranked 4th nationally in ED acuity, and we are seeing about 100,000 patients a year. We did expand our ED, and like they say, if you build it, they will come. They are coming. What we do is graduated supervision, not graduated responsibility. So from day one, your patients are your patients. You get to do whatever is necessary for your patients. We will be there in the beginning to offer you guidance and supervise procedures. But by the end, it's do you need me in the room? And even sometimes at the end of 3rd year, some of the 3rd years will let the attendings do procedures that we haven't done in a bit. That's how many procedures we get to do during their emergency medicine training. We are an everything hospital, so level 1 trauma center. People get flown in all the time from rural areas and also the surrounding states. We are a STEMI hospital. We do ECMO. We even will start ECMO in the ED on a certain patient population. We're a stroke center. We do transplants, everything but lungs, burn, cancer center, lots of specialty ICUs as well. Most of your training will be done at KU, the main hospital, but we do have other hospitals, including Olathe, where there will be rotations done at. That's our rural hospital, and there's only emergency medicine rotators down there, and then internal medicine and OB-GYN residencies at that location. So have a lot of unopposed activities down there. Also, we will rotate through Children's Mercy, which is a large children's hospital in the area with multiple hospitals. Community EDs include that Olathe hospital that I already talked about, and then also Lawrence Memorial, which is in a city about 20 to 30 minutes away, depending on where you live. We have EMS runs, you'll do ICU, burn at those different hospitals, and also KU as well. Our number one thing is to make you the best emergency medicine physician that you can be, but we believe that we also need to make you that, make sure that you are the best person that you can be as well. We are a family. We focus on sustainability in our practice and who we are as people. We focus on health and wellness as a priority. Just looking at some of the pictures here, this is our intern welcome down in the left-hand corner. Right-hand corner is our brand new D that opened up all the beds in September of 2023. And then up in the right-hand corner, you can see one of our family picnics where every year we will have a unicorn water slide there. I look forward to talking to you guys more and answering any questions that you may have in the breakout rooms.
All right, thank you so much. Finally, we have Cook County.
All right, hello. Say good morning, but it's good afternoon, everybody. Nice to see you all on. I just want to say thank you first and foremost to the RSA for putting this on, and for all the students who are tuning in, and to my fellow program directors doing this today. My name is Mike Schindelbeck. I'm the program director at Cook County Hospital in Chicago. For the students on, you guys are going to get so much information today. It's going to be hard to keep track of all that. So I put our website there on the slide. So I encourage you to take a look at that, because this is all going to blur together. I remember being in your shoes. It seems like not that long ago, but it was actually 22 years now. And kudos to all of you for taking an active role in your education and tuning in today. What can I say about Cook County? So we're in the city of Chicago. We're on the near west side in what's called the Illinois Medical District. We are a big hospital. We're a 4-year program. We have 68 residents total, so 17 across 4 years. And we're a public hospital training system. We see maybe 120 to 130,000 visits per year combined between our adult emergency department, pediatrics, and trauma. As a public hospital setting, we are a very resident-run department, which has its pros and cons. One thing that we like to showcase is we give you all a ton of autonomy, which is good and bad. And for all the students who are listening today, I think you have to ask yourself what kind of learner you are, because our environment is definitely one that you learn by doing. So it's a very busy ED, again, resident run. We do sponsor 3 fellowships. So we have SIM, ultrasound, and tox, and they kind of lend their expertise to your education. Our residents rotate through our ED and actually 7 other emergency departments in the city of Chicago, something I'm very proud of. I think going through all these different environments, you learn a lot about emergency medicine and a lot about yourself and what you want out of your career. So very happy with the diversity of sites that our residents rotate through. Beyond that, one other thing I put on the screen here is a copy of a plaque from the park in front of the helipad by our old Cook County Hospital. It's a quote by Louis Pasteur that all of us take to heart. So again, we're a public hospital. We're the safety net hospital for the city of Chicago. And everybody who works at our institution from the top down takes a ton of pride in knowing that we are the safety net for the city of Chicago. We know what we mean to the community and the trust and confidence that our patients put in us. And for all of you, again, listening, there's pros and cons to that. Working in a public hospital, you have to do a lot and get creative with very limited resources. And that's very challenging and can burn some people out. So what we're looking for are people who are very mission aligned, who recognize the importance of taking care of an underserved population and really hold that as a core tenet of who they want to be as a physician. Beyond that, just to close, kudos to all the students again on. You're picking an awesome specialty. I think if you all went back in time 20 years or so, maybe 10 years at your age now, and looked at why you decided to become a doctor, I think emergency medicine is the truest version of the term doctor that you can be. So you're picking a great specialty, and I'm looking forward to talking to some more of you in the chat session. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Before we move on, I want to quickly say thank you to everyone who participated today. Every single one of these programs, their program directors and program coordinators, all were very responsive to emails and which made organizing this so much easier. So really appreciate all of you for taking time out of your day and days in the past when we were communicating over email and being a part of this session. All right, everyone, we will now be starting the residency fair. So this is an opportunity for you all to enter breakout rooms. We'll have one for each of the programs that are here today. And this is an opportunity for you all to go into these rooms and have some more one-on-one conversations with these members of residency leadership. In the past, this part of the symposium has been described as the most beneficial from attendees in the past. So I'll open up these rooms. As a note, you'll have we schedule this period to have a very long time, about an hour and a half. We'll be ending this at about 1:30 Central Time. So you'll have plenty of time to go into each of these rooms and ask your questions. So if you see a room is a little bit crowded, you can wait for that crowd to kind of to exit that room, and you can maybe come back later, maybe join some other rooms. But this is a good opportunity for you to talk to each of these programs and really pick their brains and figure out if this program is good for you. So I'm going to open these breakout rooms. Let me know if there's any issues with entering your rooms. Looks like everyone is joining the room. So attendees, go ahead and join rooms and have conversations with these incredible people who have came here today and offered their time for us today. All right, welcome back, everyone. I wanted to start off by sincerely thanking every single member of residency program leadership that was here today and helped with partaking in the lightning rounds and the residency fair and taking time out of your busy schedules to be a part of this. We really appreciate all the time you've given us and all the knowledge you have shared. So thank you so much and for everything you guys have done today. So for closing remarks here, we're going to go over some upcoming events for students, things that you guys can also sign up for. So this was the Midwest Student Symposium, but also upcoming in October is the Southern Symposium, which is a hybrid event that has both an in-person part and also a combined virtual and in-person part, including a panel with programs from the Southern states. So if any of you are interested in hearing from those program directors, then this is an event for you. That QR code there, you can use that QR code to sign in, and I'll also paste the link in chat as well. And then also upcoming in October is this panel on money talks. One of the co-hosts is Dr. Katie Wazinski, who gave the first talk of the day. This is a presentation on financial well-being, which is something that I think we can all definitely learn from. So also a shout out for this event as well. Both of these events are free free attendance, no membership required, just like this event today was. And then also we have the IMG event coming up soon, and I want to invite my fellow council member, Musab, to talk about that.
Hey everyone, thanks so much, Anthony. Yes, we have the IMG Symposium happening in January 17, 2026. It's a very purposeful date. We did it because we know that's when people will be of most benefit. We know a lot of AAEM members are students who are IMGs currently doing their rotations in the States, etc. So keep a lookout for that. January 17, 2026. Registration will be out soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Musab. I also wanted to end this off with two other QR codes and also links that I will put in the chat as well. This first one will take you to the page to join the AAEM RSA. And the second one is for getting more involved. If there's any project you want to get started with or want to be a part of, that second QR code will send you to a Google Doc form where you can talk about your interests and you can get assigned to current projects or start new projects that you're interested in starting. Let me throw those two links into chat. All right, and that is all we have for today. Thank you so much for everyone who attended. I really appreciate you guys attending. I hope you guys gained something from this event and have a great rest of your day.